Another one.
The final equation that I gave you for how that circuit behaves. The final equation. You give me how I derive the equation. That's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for the final answer of how that circuit behaves.
Is it negative RF over R1 times V1?
That's it?
No, if you're doing more than one voltages, it will be plus RF over R2 times R2 plus RF over R3 times R3.
Times V2.
Oh, sorry, V2.
But what you said in chat is not what I asked. I asked this equation. You gave me and you didn't send me that equation. Okay. Now, here's what the circuit will do for you. Here's what we want. Folks, if you're not talking, turn your mic off. Here's what the circuit will do for you. Here's what we want. You need to know both of these. You need to know what the circuit does, and you need to know what you want. Now, how do we make the circuit give us what we want? How do we make the circuit give us what we want?
Okay,
could we divide?
Divide by 3 or some ox.
Divide what by 3?
The amount of voltages.
Mr. Johnson, are you listening to what the question I asked?
Would it be possible to repeat it, please?
The bottom equation is what the equation we get from the circuit. The top equation is what we want that circuit to do for us.
Do we use the bottom equation, divide the bottom equation by 3?
No, you're talking nonsense. Why would you divide this by 3? Why would you divide the circuit? Why would you divide the circuit what the circuit gives you by 3? Then it's not that circuit any longer. I didn't give you a circuit that has this equation divided by 3. I gave you a circuit that has this equation. So there's nothing mathematically you can do this equation. Except what? Choose the value of RF of R1, choose the value of RF of R2, choose the value for RF of R3. That's the only thing you can do to the circuit. So what value do you want RF of R1 to be? What value do you want RF of R1 to be? By the way, this is the first class who couldn't figure this out. This is the first class I've had that couldn't figure this out. All right, let me help you out here then. Since apparently this class is mathematically challenged. Have I changed anything? Have I changed anything? No, I haven't. So what value should RF of R1 be?
So you're trying to say the resistor value underneath should be 3 times smaller than the RF?
Okay, you're not answering the question. You're not answering the question I asked directly. This value should be a third. This value should be a third. This value should be a third. Because RF of R1 is a coefficient of E1. So how do you make, now Mr. Buchamp, how do you make RF of R1 equals RF of R2 equals RF of R3 equals a third? How do you do that? Now you answer what you just answered. How do you do that? Clearly, R1 has to be 3 times bigger than RF. R1 must be 3 RF. R2 must be 3 RF. R3 must be 3 RF. How many different ways is it to do that? An infinite number of different ways of doing that. For example, make RF 10K. Make RF 10K. Then R1, R2, and R3 is 30K. So tell me, why was that difficult? This equation is high school. The negative of the average, that's high school. This is basic algebra. The only 410 part of this is this equation. And then the rest of it is just a matching game. You look at what the circuit gives you, and you look at what you want. So clearly that must be equal to that. That must be equal to that. That must be equal to that. Because the coefficients must match. And so we use the inverting summer. The good news is at least one person knew you should use inverting summer. Any questions about this? This is what design is all about. This is what design and electrical engineering is all about. You have to know what you want. You have to be familiar with circuits so that you know what circuit can possibly accomplish that task. And then you must set the elements of that circuit to give you what you want mathematically. That's design. All right. Any questions about that? Okay. I want to analyze this circuit now. Oh, before I go there, suppose I wanted this instead. Suppose I wanted that instead. What can I do? What can I do? So I don't want the negative of the average. I want the average of 3 voltages. So this circuit here will give me the negative of the average. But suppose I want the average, not the negative of the average. What can I do? So again? Okay, how you do that? I don't know what you mean by make V out negative. Do you mean similarity? You know, man, what do you mean? What do you mean by make V out negative? This is the positive lead in real world. This is the ground lead in real world. And you have V out between those two leads. What do you mean by make V out negative? Young man, I understand that, and I understand that you say make V out negative. And I'm asking you, how do you do that? No, you cannot. You can't send a ground lead with with with, with a hot lead used to go. That's a good way to blow things up. Make VL negative. You're right. Make VL negative is correct. You want the negative of this output, but how are you going to achieve that? Really? Well, what you want me to do with the polarity? Switch leads is of the resistor? Or a resistor don't have any polarity. Voltage across the resistor has polarity. But you can't change that voltage. If I give you V out or any voltage, how do you get the negative of that voltage? Excuse me? Say again, please. Yeah, man, did I hear you say switch the inputs? So why you didn't tell me that's what you said? Yeah, look. You cannot change. You cannot just change leads. You just cannot change. Well, what are you going to change then? And we have derived the equation for such a device. Have we derived an equation for a non-inverting summer? Actually, there is such a thing as a non-inverting summer. There is such a thing as a non-inverting summer, but it ain't got such an easy expression as an inverting summer. It's far more complicated. But you cannot use a non-inverting summer because you don't know how non-inverting summer works. Although there is such a thing. It is. Let's go back to that. How are you going to make VL negative? How do you make any voltage? How do you get the negative of any voltage? Again, this is the first class who hasn't gotten this answer.
What has something to do with the current?
What current?
I know we was discussing current, but I was because the equation, for example, for V1, negative RE over R or RI times V1. I'm really sure where to look too much.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Johnson. I don't know what current you're talking about. I've got no currents identified on this circuit. What current are you talking about?
I was thinking about last class, sorry.
Well, that's a cop out. You saying there are no currents in this diagram? Is that what you're saying?
No, sir.
Where are the currents?
Well, you're at II, and then
You mean I1? There's no II in this case. There's a I1 in this case. There's an I1 in this case. There's I1. There's I2. There's I3. All right. What current is here?
Well, we can name that I4 or the output.
We can name that I out.
Yeah.
We can name that I out. What's the I out?
Pardon me?
What is I out equal to?
I input.
What does that mean? There is no I input on this diagram. You see I input on this diagram? There's 3 input currents, I1, I2, and I3.
So it's equal to the sum of the 3 input currents.
All right. And how do you know that? How do you know that?
Well, because zero current or 0 amps is going to op amp, all the current is flowing to that 10K.
Yes. That's how you know that. You have to assume that 0 amps is flowing into the input of that op amp. And then you can do KCL at this node. And then KCL says current leaving. What current leaving? I0 is leaving. There's no other current leaving. Is equal currents arriving. Okay. But all that's got nothing to do with the question I asked originally. The question I asked is, how do you find the negative of this voltage? How do you remove the negative sign of this voltage? Well, this is the first class. We didn't get this answer. You follow this by An inverting amplifier. An inverting amplifier whose gain is -1. And this could be anything. This could be 10K and 10K. Why? Because V01 would be simply -1 times V0. Which then, of course, would be what? Negative of this, negative of negative V1 plus V2 plus V3 over 3, which of course plus V2 plus V3. And I wonder why nobody can come up with that. See, this is the difference between knowing circuits and knowing how to apply them. We did this circuit. To get V0, to get V0, negative V0, we just need to multiply V0 by -1. And how do we do that? How do you multiply a voltage by -1? You pass it through an inverting amplifier of gain 1, gain -1. Okay, that's the easiest way. The other way would be to use a non-inverting summer, but we have not talked about a non-inverting summer. And the equation we derive for an inverting summer is not the same equation that is true for a non-inverting summer. So this is the only answer you could have given me. This is the only answer you could have given me based upon your present knowledge. Before I go on, any questions about this?
Oh, God, is it possible like to see page 1?
Young man, you came late. My policy is if you come late, you get it from your classmate.
No, I got it. I just didn't get the end. I got it. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Let me now go to another circuit. That introduced the idea of what do we call this idea of following one circuit by another circuit? What do we call that? This is stage 1, and this is stage 2. And how do we say these two stages are connected?
In series?
We don't use the word series. We should know this from 235. We don't use the word series because the same current is not flowing through both things. What word do we use? Y'all don't remember shit from early classes, do you? God, right. We don't remember stuff from previous class. You expect us to remember stuff from a previous course? Young man, stage 1 is connected to stage 2. How do we say stage 1 is connected to stage 2? What language should we use? We don't say they're in series. What do we say?
Antonio, you gotta give us the first letter to figure it out.
No. Suppose this is your PhD generals exam. What you gonna do? Did I tell you all about PhD generals exams?
Yes, sir.
That's where you. Okay.
You could tell it again. No.
Excuse me?
You could tell us it again, no.
Why? So you can forget it again? Why don't I make that a homework assignment? What do you think about that?
No man.
Why not?
If we ain't get it now, we ain't gonna never get it.
Really? Then why should an employer hire you?
We learn on the job.
Who you learn from?
We learn from you.
You ain't gonna learn from me. Young man, the minute you graduate, I no longer have anything to do with you. If I have anything to do with you on a technical level, you would be paying me consulting fees. I don't work for free. And if you're no longer my student, then I will be charging you for technical advice. We say that stage 2 is cascaded with stage 1. And all of you should be saying, you're looking at what? What are you looking at? Where are you looking at that? $230? First of all, I didn't teach you $230. All right. Share your screen. Yeah. You can't hold up to the video to the camera. You found it yet? You have the textbook for this class? Do you have the textbook for this class? You do. All right. You do. All right. Then look on page 12. Look on page 14. See right there? Cascade connection of two amplifier stages. Well, we ain't talking about loading effect today. But one stage followed by another stage, we're saying that we cascade stages, and you first learned that in 235. All right. Let's do another problem. All right. Let's look at this circuit. What's RV? What do we call RV? What do we call RV?
Before we talk about RV, is that an arrow coming down or that's a wire connecting from
Excuse
VL?
me?
I want to know if that was a wire or was that an arrow? That's
Yeah, man. Why would we have an arrow in the circuit?
all right then.
What does arrow in the circuit mean? It means direction of current. Okay. Now, have we identified any current? No. Of course, that's a wire. What? First of all, what is RV? What is RV called? And then we'll talk about what is the arrow called. And how is it y'all don't know these things yet? What do you think? So this resistor has what? 3 connections. Do you see that? I'm just talking about this resistor. You all have never seen this symbol before?
No, sir.
I find that very hard to believe. It's what? What class was that? And what class was that? Y'all can't even remember the names of your classes. Wow. The numbers of your classes.
243.
Well, I don't know why you would see that in 243, but anyway, nonetheless, this is called a potentiometer. As I'm sure all of you now know. Yeah, y'all saw it before. But I don't understand why y'all don't retain what you learned. This is the potentiometer. What's the value of this potentiometer? It has value. It has this value between here, these two leads. It may be 50K. Okay. That middle plot, what is this middle plot called? What is this middle connection called? It's called the wiper. The wiper. So this middle connection moves. This middle connection moves at this extreme. This extreme, the 0 ohms. The 0 ohms between the wiper and this lead. At the other extreme, when you rotate the potentiometer at the other extreme, it's down here. In which case now it is 50K between these two leads. If it's a 50K potentiometer. If it's a 10K potentiometer, then this would be 10K. Okay. So here's the problem. I'm going to give you the value of Ri. And I'm going to ask you to find the value of RF and the value of RV, so that when you change RV, you go from a gain of 10 to a gain of 25. All right. So what position will this wiper be in when we have a gain of 10? Will it be in this position, or will it be in this position? Nobody has an answer?
I see you have the gain from 10 to 25. So depending on the value of the gain, that'll influence the value of the potentiometer.
No. The opposite is true. Where you have the potentiometer will influence the gain, the value of the gain. And I'm telling you, the two extremes is this extreme, where the wiper is all the way to the left, or this extreme, or this extreme where the wiper is always always to the right. Which one of these will give you a gain of 10?
Could I guess?
I guess you're going to, because apparently you can't use logic. Why can't you use logic?
I would say the one on the right.
What do you mean the one on the right? What does that mean? There's top and bottom. There's top and bottom, and you tell me the one on the right. Does that make sense? And what's your logic for the bottom?
Pardon me?
What's your logic for guessing the one on the bottom?
Well, that is a higher um um potentiometer value, and the higher the
Yes.
potentiometer value, then the higher the gain. And a gain of 10, that's not too low.
Young man, you want the gain to be between 10 and 25. You want the gain to be between 10 and 25. And I'm asking you for what position is the potentiometer in for a gain of 10? So I don't want the high value. I want the low value.
So you wanted to be in the first position.
Exactly. I wanted to be in the top position. Because in the top position,
They'll have a lesser value, right?
What we have here is that potentiometer is not even there, is it? This is out here. All of it is out here. It's not connected in that top position. And what's the voltage gain in this case? That's just RF there. That's just RF between the output. The feedback resistance is just RF. And the bottom position, so this is the top position. Okay? That corresponds to this. And the bottom one corresponds to plus this.
So that's the feedback then.
This is RF plus RV over RI. So what's the gain? What's the gain of this? What's the gain of this one over here? What's the gain of this circuit?
See that's 10.
What's the equation? What's the equation for the gain?
RF over RI plus 1.
Yes. 1 plus RF over RI equals 10. What's the gain for this one?
That one is 25.
And what's the equation? What's the gain for the equation?
1 plus RF plus RV over RI.
Yes. Because the total feedback is what you want of RI equals 25. So there's your two equations. There's your two equations. You see, this one, because its sum is bigger than this sum, this is going to have the high gain. That's why we had to have 25 go here. So this equation here will give you the lower gain. That's why 10 went here. That's using logic. That's not guessing. That's logic. And now, how do we solve these two equations to find out the value of RF and RV?
Use substitution.
I don't know what that means.
What was the question again?
Huh?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
I want to solve for RF and I want to solve for RV. How am I going to do that?
Did any of the value for RV already?
No. That 50K, that 10K was just an example.
Oh.
I want to design this circuit. So that was just an example of a potentiometer. So, folks, how am I going to do this? How am I going to find the value for RF and RV?
I know the value. If you want you want the gain to be 10, right?
I want the gain to be 10 in the first circuit.
So in the first circuit, RF value could be 9 times greater than RF.
And RI is so much.
Or in my case, when I do my example, I use RF as 90K.
But I gave you the value of RI.
It is. Oh, 1K. So the top could be
Look at the top
9K,
diagram.
9K for RF.
Yeah, so RF equals 9K just by solving this equation. Okay. And how are you going to find RV?
Now for RV, you want to be the gain to be 25. RV value could be 15K.
Yes, and how do you get that? We got that by solving this equation. So RF plus RV of RI is 24. So RV plus RV, RF plus RV equals 24 RI. So RF plus RV is 24K. Okay. So RV equals 24K minus 9K equals 15 kilo ohms. So this potentiometer will go from zero ohms to 15 kilo ohms. When it's over here, the gain would be 20. Any questions about this? Okay. Again, this question's right out of the book. All right. The textbook. Any questions? Excuse me? What page in textbook? Is that what you just asked me? Look through the textbook. Look through the textbook. Here's a good idea. Look through the textbook. You might see some other stuff that be of interest today. Any questions or concerns? Okay, see you Friday.
Good day.
All right, sir.